questions. Get real answers. Start a conversation with your doctor today. Visit vaccinesforkids.nc.gov. Paid for by NCDHHS.
New Covenant Christian Faith Church Ministries, 5427 Murchison Road, and I am proud to be a member of Wake Up.
Your station for inspiration and information. 1600 AM, 99.7 FM, WIDU1600.com. We are WIDU Fayetteville. We do radio. Follow us on Facebook at WIDU 1600 AM.
NCN News. Good morning. I'm Tony Rixby. Police in Florida say they stopped a mass shooting by arresting a former North Carolina police officer. Christian Gillum was stopped on his way to a jazz fest in New Orleans with a handgun and hundreds of rounds of ammunition. WWL-TV reporter Alyssa Curtis.
Authorities say Gillum was planning to carry out a mass shooting at a festival in New Orleans. Still,
I've seen a lot of security personnel going through. Everyone was pretty thorough checking the bags. I feel great about it.
The usual bag checks and metal detectors gave festival goers a sense of peace. Outside the gates and past ticket check, there seemed to be a familiar amount of police presence compared to years past.
Gillum has worked for the Carolina Beach Police, Chapel Hill Police, and Orange County Sheriff's Office. A judge setting bond for an 18-year-old suspect charged in a mass shooting this week in Winston-Salem that left 2 young people dead. More from Ashley Preston.
Joel Gamble Tolliver is accused of firing a gun during Monday's shooting at Lineback Park, where multiple people were also injured. He faces felony riot and child abuse charges. A judge set his bond at $25,000 and denied a request for home monitoring. Police say more arrests are expected. I'm Ashley Preston.
President Trump announced the ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah in Lebanon is being extended, and the commander-in-chief says the U.S. won't be rushed into more peace talks with Iran. CBS News correspondent Jesse Mitchell.
President Trump says he has ordered the U.S. military to shoot and kill any Iranian boats that deploy mines aiming to choke traffic through the Strait of Hormuz. In a social media post, the president added the Navy is intensifying its mine clearing efforts in the waterway that facilitated about 1/5 of the world's oil trade before the U.S.-Israeli war with Iran began. Now in its 8th week, President Trump had predicted the conflict would last no more than 6. The president says he won't be pressured into a deal.
You're listening to NCN News.
This is Pastor T.C. Lee, Smith Temple Church of God in Christ. You are listening to Wake Up.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code WALK5 to get up to a $5 bonus on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code WALK5 to get up to a $5 bonus on your first tank. That's code WALK5 to get up to a $5 bonus on your first tank.
I'm Jamie Monticelli, WIDU Radio News. At about noon on April 23rd, the Cumberland County Sheriff's Office went out to a 911 call for a pedestrian struck in the 4000 block of Mena Drive in Fayetteville. A motor vehicle went left of center and hit 2 juveniles that were in a toy car being pulled by their parents. The toy car was occupied by a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. Both juveniles were taken to a medical facility for treatment. The 2-year-old died from injuries sustained from the motor vehicle collision at the medical facility. The driver of the vehicle, 18-year-old Abijah Lewis of Fayetteville, was taken to a medical facility for treatment. Charges are pending. Fayetteville police say join us on May 6th, 1 until 3 p.m. at Fayetteville Technical Community College for an exciting career fair focused on law enforcement careers. Fayetteville Police Department recruiting will be on site, along with members of the teams showcasing specialized units, including drone operations, search and rescue team, and the K-9 unit. From WIDU Radio, I'm Jamie Monticelli.
Good Friday morning. We start your day with mostly clear skies and temperatures in the upper 50s. By this afternoon, we'll see lots of sunshine, and highs will reach the mid to upper 80s across the area. Some spots could jump to the low 90s. Then mostly clear overnight and through Saturday morning. Temperatures will stay mild, dropping to around 60. Then showers and storms become more likely after lunchtime, with highs in the mid to upper 80s. We're cooler in the 70s Sunday. I'm meteorologist Grant Skinner in the NCN Weather Center.
Hi, my name is Apostle Preston Davis Jr., Senior Pastor of True Love Church International, and you're listening to Wake Up.
It's Friday Night Live in Fayetteville, North Carolina, where worship and praise and ministry will come together for an anointed time of the Lord. Friday, May 1st at 7:30 p.m. at the Gateway Center, 3860 Gateway Drive in Fayetteville, North Carolina, with special musical guests Reverend Luther Barnes and the Restoration Worship Center Choir and spoken word from Ambassador David Gilliam of Impact Nation, Petersburg, Virginia, and Houston, Texas. Come expecting to be uplifted and blessed as these men of God sing and preach about God's goodness and His healing power. That's Friday Night Live, May 1st, with Reverend Luther Barnes and the Restoration Worship Center Choir and spoken word from Ambassador David Gilliam of Impact Nation Church, Petersburg, Virginia, and Houston, Texas. Set for worship and praise at the Gateway Center, 3860 Gateway Drive in Fayetteville, North Carolina. A free will offering will be taken. That's Friday Night Live, Fayetteville, free and open to the public. For more information, call 877-959-7418 or go to davidgilliamministriesworldwide.org.
It's the first day of the first grade, and she found a new best friend. It's a laid-back Sunday afternoon you wish would never end.
The homemade taste of Bluebell and good friends gathered round. The good old days are being made right now.
Introducing Bluebell Pro, a dessert with up to 12 grams of protein and 110 calories or less per serving. Low fat, no added sugars, and gluten-free. Dig into a pint. It's more than just protein. It's Bluebell Pro. Never has high protein tasted so good.
The good old days are being made right now.
The good old days are being made right now.
Look for Bluebell ice cream in your local grocer. If you can't find it, ask for it.
Hi, I'm Cherie Sample Hughes, Women in Government Board Chair. Alzheimer's disease often starts subtly with a memory slip, lost word, or forgotten appointment. For patients experiencing memory and thinking issues, there are FDA-cleared blood biomarker tests that can help detect the buildup of proteins in the brain that can lead to the symptoms of Alzheimer's disease. That's why early detection and diagnosis are so important. Sharing details about your memory and thinking issues with your doctor can help determine if testing is right for you. Find more at womeningovernment.org.
Wake up, catch the vision, join the team. This is Pastor Reginald Johnston of My Father's House Christian Church right here in Fayetteville. We want you to wake up and join the team. Behold, how good and pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. It's good when we come together. We're one body, many parts. We desire that you wake up and join the team. It's good to be a part of Wake Up. Wake up, join the team. We will see you in Jesus' name.
In
God
Latin,
bless
local
you.
deal means this is the house of the Lord. In local, passway every calavera. This is Psalm 123. The Lord is my shepherd. This is Dr. Smith from Warrior Family Ministry. Loving on all y'all again. May God bless you.
This is Pastor Neil of the New Covenant Christian Faith Church Ministries, 5427 Murchison Road, and I am proud to be a member of Wake Up.
This is Apostle Norman Wilson Neal
and Evangelist Carolyn Murphy
of Word of Life Teaching and Deliverance Broadcast, and you are listening to Wake Up.
Sharing information and inspiration. You are listening to Heartbeat on WIDU, the We Do Network.
Any views or opinions presented on this program are solely those of the host and do not necessarily represent those of the owners, management, staff, advertisers, or sponsors of this radio station. It is not our intent to make any defamatory statements or infringe upon the rights of any human being. Any such communication is contrary to our core values and beliefs as hosts of Heartbeat.
Heartbeat.
You tune in to Heartbeat.
Heartbeat. Heartbeat.
Heartbeat. You're listening to Heartbeat.
You tune in to Heartbeat.
You're listening to Heartbeat.
Good morning and welcome. It's time now for Wake Up on WIDU, the We Do Radio Network, Facebook Live, and YouTube. And we are pleased to say the gents are back like they never ever left. It's time now for Heartbeat Radio Talk Show, the men of great true valor, and they are here to give us today's segment of Heartbeat Radio Talk Show. And yep, they allow phone calls. You can call in during the show today at 910-483-6111. Let us enjoy the true handsome gents of talk radio, Bishop J.L. Godbolt. He's back. We've missed you on last week, but the gents held it down like they always do in your absence. We also have senior pastor of the crew, eye candy number 2, Pastor Ron Godbolt, the cool collective one of the crew, eye candy number 3, Coach Minister Tony Billingsley. Good morning, Heartbeat crew. Good morning, Heartbeat team, Heartbeat family. We're ready for you. Take it away.
If I don't ever feel like I'm loved, I do every Friday morning at 10 a.m. You gotta dance like there's nobody watching, love like you've never been hurt, sing like there's nobody listening, and live like it's heaven on earth. Greetings, everyone. I'm Dr. J.L. Godbolt.
I'm Dr. Ron Godbolt.
I'm Tony Billingsley.
And this is Heartbeat Flight 2026 on Wake Up, where we still believe the truth is the truth and no one believes it, and a lie is still a lie, even if everyone believes it. And we're in a day and time now where it looks like men rather believe a lie than the truth. It's a great day in the village of Lafayette. I'm so grateful to have our friends with us. Social media, YouTube, Facebook, as well as those of you who are following us on radio, WEWO Laurinburg, 1460 AM and 92.5 FM. Love you guys. Love to hear from you. WAGR, 1340 AM, 97.1 FM, Lumberton, North Carolina, Robeson County. WYDU, 1160 AM and 98.5 FM. We're praying for that FM station right now in Red Springs. Come on back. We appreciate you guys. And then the flagship, WIDU 1600 AM and 99.7 FM in Lafayette, North Carolina. We appreciate you both so much, all of you. Happy birthday tomorrow to my sister-in-law, your wife.
Yes. Yeah, she's celebrating the birthday. Don't say the year. Don't say her birthday tomorrow to Sister Faye Godbolt.
I'm trying to save my little brother from getting in trouble here. If you're celebrating anniversary, as a matter of fact, our sister and brother-in-law, we celebrate anniversary sometime soon. I got to look at the date here, but Kathy and Keith Scriven celebrating sometime soon here. We're going to
somebody got married on my wife's birthday. Was it her or Chastity?
I think it was them.
I think it was them. Maybe them. Okay, yeah.
I think it
they
was
got the same date for some reason.
It was our sister. Yep. Kathy and Keith Scriven, tomorrow is your anniversary. Happy anniversary to you as well. I knew something was up on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're excited about that. Hey, we are really excited about being back with you on Heartbeat. Thank you for your prayers as we were traveling and doing some mission work, and awesome time in Mexico. Man, it was awesome. And I'm grateful to be back with you. 3 topics today as we want to talk about what is the biggest takeaway from the Target boycott. And as well, do we compare unions to DEI, which is better? Or we're comparing apples to oranges? And finally, want to talk about your drinking water. How safe is it, and how can you check it out to make sure that the water is what it's supposed to be? All right, Doc, let's talk about Grief Share.
Grief Share, they're on a break now. They just finished a 13-week session. So you need to call the church at 910-323-8889 and get information when the next session we start. Go ahead and get registered so you'll be set to go. But they're continuing to minister to people that need that help. And if you need that help, then you need to reach out to them.
Yeah, exactly. It's amazing. Grieving is a process of life. We have to learn to deal with it, but at the same time, to have people who can help us walk through it and understand the steps in that process is great. Yeah. We're also going to give you a health tip today, as well as a Did You Know moment. All those fine things are coming up. But today we're going to start off with the boycott of Target. It was about 18 months or so. But I found out something, gentlemen, I want to share with you before we talk about that, that the word boycott entered the English language from an Irish land war derived by a guy named Captain Charles Boycott. He was a land agent. He was an absentee owner. He owned the property. But what happened was he was ostracized. In 1880, he decided that the guy that was using Lord Earn decided that instead of paying, helping the tenants at the rate they should, he offered the tenants 10% of the reduction on their rent. Things were getting a little tough. So the tenants decided, no, we want 25% reduction, and he refused to do so. So in the process, the people decided they got the word out all around him, everywhere. Nobody would talk to him. Nobody would work the fields. Nobody would take care of the stables, the horses in the stable. It got so bad for Mr. Boycott that he found himself so isolated that he couldn't even trade or sell. Even the postman would not deliver his mail.
Oh, wow.
So they took real action. Of course, without a doubt, eventually it was won. So the word boycott is the last name of a person in Ireland.
Oh, my.
So we got this, we found out how it really works.
Yeah.
And when you get to the point that your mail won't be delivered and nobody wants to talk to you,
wow,
that is a boycott. So, with that being said, let's talk about Target. We do know on the outset that for that year and a half, they lost about $12.5 with a B billion dollars. If you think that's something to throw away and suck your teeth at, I got news for you. That's a lot of money. So what do we got here, gents?
Yeah, that was significant in itself, just the amount of money that was possibly lost during that period of time. And also they had a 30% decrease in the price of their stock, which also hurt them on the economic side. And then the foot traffic in the store decreased by about 9% in some estimations.
And also retail challenges contributed to 1.7% drop in net sales by the end of 2025. And the thing is that where some groups have called it victory and ending, there's some that wants to continue it. So that's where we kind of at. Some are continuing, some saying it's over.
It's interesting enough that we talk about these kinds of things. We want to believe that people will be morally adapt to what we want to be done in life. You're plead to their morals as we learn, but you also make sure that you're ready to hit their monies, because there are fewer and fewer people in the business world that live by morals, personal morals, and then their companies should come up with ethics and values that they could hold steady to. But here again, that's one of the reasons we're dealing with this boycott in the first place, because it was not fair to other people of color on these jobs. And then they backed away because of what we all know. If you don't know what happened in the government, dropping the DEI programs and anything that was attached to it, making sure that we were, quote unquote, making it fair for everybody, if you will. We'll get on that part later. But to see that you could boycott a company and bring them to the place of realizing this hurts us, but not necessarily morally, but it hurts us financially.
But notice Target's response that they are still committed to giving 5% profit donation to efforts to support black-owned businesses, even though they're dealing with this pressure.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, 5%. Maybe we need to do like the boycott in Ireland and say, no, we want 10.
That was them.
5%.
Yeah, billions of dollars.
Thanks for the contribution. But it's only been recently that they've even publicly made a statement regarding diversity, equity, and inclusion. They kind of divorced themselves and sided with the Trump administration's philosophy regarding DEI. And they finally came out with this statement, according to H.R. Brew, that we were not clear enough about who we were as a community, which led to a loss of trust with our guests, especially our black customers. And that's the only public statement they've made regarding
the DEI
situation.
Well, there was an overall statement that Target is more committed than ever to create growth and opportunity for all. We're pleased to be moving forward, and we continue showing up as a trusted neighbor while delivering results to our team members, guests, and more than 2,000 communities in which we serve. So it's general, but the bottom line is, you got hit financially, and you're making that the right. If you say I'm trying to say the right thing, but it's not really the right thing for the right reason. It's the right thing because you hurt me financially. It's not right to even be in this position in the first place. Target, and not only them, but I looked at the list of companies. It was a plethora of companies that did the same thing. And so if we need to go through it, we need to do all of them the same way. Pretty much.
Pretty much. Yeah. And as you were given the historical outline of how we got the word boycott, when people refuse to even talk to you, that's isolation.
Think about how important that is, though, when people recognize that what this Captain Boycott did was unfair, but they were willing in the 1880s to say, no, he can't do that, and we got enough power in the grassroots to make a difference.
Absolutely.
We are the ones that can make Mr. Boycott, Captain Boycott, change his mind. Yeah.
You know, and that's the problem, that we don't recognize the power we have as those that spend the money, that shop and buy, that we can do these kind of things and to have that impact on Target. They might not be mentioned out public, but I guarantee it's been discussed in those back rooms. What can they do? And of course, saying that of course, Reverend Jamal Bryant has demanded $2 million commitment to black businesses and increased investment in black-owned banks and strong partnership with HBCUs. That's what he's demanding from them.
If we go back to the Montgomery boycott, what Dr. King did, and of course, all those involved, not just him, but how they strategically organize themselves to say that we are not going to allow the fact that you are telling us we're going to sit in the back of the bus And we got to pay the same price for someone else, and they're going to sit in the front simply because of the color of their skin. And you can do that thing. Was it 2 years? I can't remember how long the boycott was.
Yeah, I think over 2 years,
over
like
2 years,
2.5 almost.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But they were so organized with it that when it was time to stop, it was like, hey, we can go on with this.
Mm-hmm.
So the city realized that this little bit of money in this situation was more important. Not morals again, not morals.
Yeah.
Money.
Yeah. And as you said, the organization that they had demonstrated to the Montgomery Bus Company that we don't need you unless you treat us fairly.
That's right.
And they shared rides. They walked where they could walk to,
Yeah.
and they even my understanding is they even boycotted some of the businesses that advertised with the Montgomery Bus Company.
That's it. That's the power of unity, which is what we have to recognize in America. We've been sold a bill of goods that we got to have everything that's been advertised.
Yeah.
We can't live without it. It's becoming a drinking source to us. We are thirsty for anything that new that comes out. We got to be the first to have it. We've got to do it because it's out there. You got to drive it, buy it, wear it, eat it, whatever.
Yeah.
And so by being so, we're divided on loyalties to say what is best for all of us. Because I'm back to that point that we said, you gave us, Dr. Ron, some time back when Hitler was doing what he did with the Jews, nobody said anything. And then he goes to the next group, no one says anything. By the time we get to where there was nobody to speak for me either.
That's right.
And so that, to me, is one of the things that we have to be aware of. We cannot allow ourselves to be divided by color, which is a trick. It was never that way until America did the color thing. There was no one else who did that in slavery or nations, because we were multicolored in every nation around the world, basically, except those that were really far out. But as far as those nations we read about, it was not one color. It was just one people under those particular banners. And now we're seeing it dividing us based on color.
Yeah. And the boycott also brought about a change in leadership at Target. The individual that was ahead, let me see if I can find. Yeah, Brian Cornell was the CEO, resigned, and Michael Fidelki took over in February of 2026 with a somewhat different philosophical view as to how Target should proceed when it comes to equitable treatment of their customers.
Well, it's almost the card that everyone plays, that when you're going to shift that much, you got to get rid of somebody to show a sign that you're really shifting your concept or your belief.
The fall guy. Huh?
Yeah, somebody's got to be the fall guy. Someone has to be that sacrificial lamb in the process. So, I think that's something we should pay attention to when any company wants to say, we are about this kind of business.
Because the truth be known, the CEO don't do nothing without the board of directors backing him on that.
Right.
And if they wanted him to do opposite, he would have been doing opposite. But I like this saying that they said with this boycott: "Don't spend where you aren't respected."
Wow, that's
good. And if we would take that attitude, then all of us would join in to say, if you disrespecting my brother, my sister, you're disrespecting me. So I need to join up with this. But like you said, Bishop, so often some of our people will just say, "Well, it ain't bothering me," So that's why people don't vote. They think that it ain't bothering me. But what if we all voted and pulled for the same person? The power we have in unity, and we just miss that so often.
Yeah.
As we, not to get ahead, but when we go into the next section about union versus DEI, we'll see, because I feel that DEI is not just a philosophical or cultural entity. It must become part of the fabric of how we operate. as opposed to just the idea. And it seems that many companies had a philosophical idea of how things should be when it comes to ethics, integrity, and treating people fairly, but they were operating a little bit differently than how they spoke.
We'd love to hear from you if you have a comment about what you've learned about boycotting or standing up nonviolently, the effects of it, especially when we talk about morally standing for something, and also the financial side of it as well. 483-6111 is the number to call, and we'd love to hear from you as well. You guys, as I look at this, the power of the grassroots, but the psychology of dividing us has been the part that crosses my mind more than anything else. That we got the power, but as long as they keep us divided among ourselves, as far as understanding what we can do together, and not letting one thing or the other. For instance, as we talk about it, we got to change up in just a moment. I want to go ahead and talk about our Did You Know and Health Tip. But when I looked at DEI and the people who benefited the most from it, it was quite a shocker to find out it was not us.
Yeah. You know, Jesus reminds us several times in Scripture, let no man deceive you. And we get to the point that we get distracted. You know, we can always remember the lessons of the prestidigitator. He's has you look over here as he's pulling the rabbit out of the hat, and somebody over here is sticking the rabbit in the hat.
Or taking something out of your pocket.
Taking something out of your pocket while you're looking at the rabbit.
But it's amazing. Well, let's go ahead while we got this opportunity. Again, the fastest hour of the day, of the week, of the month is always Fridays in the time from 10 to 11. But nonetheless, let's do a Did You Know tip, and then we'll get a health tip, guys. Tammy, maybe she'll hear this. She likes this kind of stuff. What you got, Captain?
Did you know that the liver, the vital organ of filtration and detoxification in our body, can regenerate even if 75% of it is removed? It can regenerate itself. Wow. It has the power to regenerate and to heal itself if given the opportunity, the human liver.
That's awesome.
Wow.
I did not know that.
Did you know giraffes are around 30 times more likely to get struck by lightning than humans?
I didn't know that, but I can see why.
But we can see why.
Standing tall.
You get your head too high in the air.
And you don't know what's going on. Bam. I get it. Well, I got news for you guys. Did you know that we spend a year sitting on the toilet? when nature calls and we're answering that call, the average person spends in the course of his or her life an entire year sitting on the toilet.
That's what you call a year wasted.
No pun intended.
No
of course.
pun intended.
Yeah. But that's a lot of deep thought and a lot of daydreaming.
A lot of people read magazines and do stuff or sitting on the toilet.
Using the time wisely.
Yeah.
Please don't bring your cell phone in there, because we have to get another act on that, because that's a lot of time you start getting on a cell phone in the toilet.
Yeah, that probably increases that year too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, those on cell phone, they probably do a year and a half.
It depends. Okay, health tip. What you got, gents?
Tony mentioned the liver. To improve liver function, healthy eating by reducing excess sugar, fat, and processed ingredients while intaking liver-friendly foods like garlic, leafy greens, and citrus. You just can't get by leafy greens and citrus. I mean, it's like good for everything.
Eat your leaves.
Eat your leaves.
Yes.
And one of the I'm finding now one of the best citrus fruits is the lowly lemon.
Lemon, that's right. It's amazing how much it helps the body.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's see. Health tip. Avoid direct sunlight between the hours of 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. to reduce skin cancer and the harmful effects of sunlight. We all know that sunlight is important for the production of vitamin D in our bodies. So God again speaks early in the morning and late in the evening to get your, or later in the afternoon to get your sunlight.
Yeah, Tammy come here crying because she missed it.
Did you hear the year, Tammy?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you this. We spent about a whole year of our life sitting on the toilet, so keep that in mind. Let me give you my help tip.
And if you're using your cell phone, it could be longer.
Yeah. Don't take the cell phone in the bathroom. Okay. If you did, well, we don't want to talk about that. My mind, I'm starting to see all kind of images that we don't want to do that. Look, learn to breathe the 4, 7, and 8 breaths. Inhale for 4 counts, hold it for 7 counts, and exhale it in an 8 count. Active. What it does, it causes your nervous system and your mind to relax. It will reduce the tension in your body and results into less anxiety and help you articulate your concerns better. When we get nervous or we start to stutter more or we can't pull our words up. But before you start to talk, if you will take a deep breath, 4 counts, hold it for 7, and release it 8. The next one is going to come automatically. You'll start to bring your body back into some semblance of normality, and then you can speak it like you should. So when you got a big engagement, speaking in front of crowds, or something happened that causes you to lose your normal breathing routine or your normal activity, think about that. 4, 7, 8. Okay.
You know, it's amazing that you mentioned that, because one of the times when you were out, Dr. Kapoor gave Dr. Ron and I a lesson in somatic exercise.
Okay.
And that was one of the things that she taught.
Yeah, sure
was
was.
that 4, 7 breathing.
I did not know that, and
we should do it daily.
Yeah, I can see that how important that would be, because when you talk about our system, the body, it's aligned with a lot of things, and you'll be surprised at what's happening around us, how it affects us, which is why the media keeps pushing things out that we feel like we have to know, and you don't have to know all of it.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay, let's go on. Which is better, a union or DEI? Or are we comparing apples to apples or apples to oranges when we see the unions versus DEI? So let's take this on for a moment, guys.
Yeah, as I stated initially, you know, DEI speaks to culture, ethics, integrity, honesty. It's a philosophical thought. When you have a union in an organization, it becomes a legal binding contract.
Okay.
And in many instances, you're able to enforce it because it is legal and it is binding, whereas DEI are things that we should do. And so as I was researching this, I said, wow, that's awesome. These two things probably should be married to each other.
Yeah, and that's what some companies are doing now. They're integrating the DEI principles, where demanding diversity in their collective bargaining agreement with the company. And so that's really, like Tony said, that's the plan that you probably want to go to, that you get different people in, and at the same time you work together to make your organization strong, like a union would do.
One of the downsides of people who are anti-union is that they don't like giving up their control of making decisions to unions, but they do like the idea of the benefits of it. And also they don't like the idea of paying dues to it. Well, I get that 6 of one, half dozen the other. But as you were saying, when I look at DEI, one of the reports shows us that the people, the class of people that got the most out of DEI were white females.
Yes.
They were in the
They're
workplace.
the ones who benefited
the most. Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was surprised by that, but when you think about DEI, one of the weaknesses of the DEI program, they were blindsided by the fact that they did not do enough data reporting. And that was where the HR and the people who are in the fields and motivating people passionately, you still got to pull the numbers out. The numbers have got to match so that people can see what has been done. And according to the report I received, they didn't do a really good job at, quote unquote, with the data to show this is where it's really making the difference. Now, on the other side of the scale, it must have been making the difference because it became the baby to shoot down, or the bullet, the magic bullet to shoot as far as this administration. And several governors, Florida was one of the first to make sure they got rid of anything that looked like DEI.
You know, and the thing about DEI is that so many people just don't understand that. They because they think it's all about making sure minorities get jobs, and of course the white folks are taking the jobs from the white folk. But you know, but like they say, when a person get into Harvard, they're going to be qualified. They're going to have a certain SAT score. They're going to have certain grades. So it's not that's not that you letting in certain people, but you making sure everybody gets a chance if they are qualified.
That's it.
I couldn't get in there. I don't care what color I am.
Exactly.
My SAT score don't say I need to be there.
When we talk about DEI and its effect on what used to be called affirmative action, affirmative action only opens the door. You still have to walk through the door. And you still have to perform.
That's right.
When I was in the United States Air Force as a young officer in the initial phase of pilot training, that airplane doesn't care what color you are if you're not operating it in a proficient manner. You could be blue, and if you're not doing what needs to be done to fly it, you're going to lose your life.
Here again, that's one of the ways that they keep us divided in making people think that you're giving unqualified people jobs behind the fact that you can make a law to put in place to keep them in positions that they're not qualified for. That is so far from the truth. We're talking about, and I know doctors, I know people who were in other fields who didn't get a fair shot with the degree work they were doing.
That's right.
Simply because their skin color or the fact that they were female. They had some of them gave up medical futures.
That's right.
They were doing very well, smart, but because the pressure they put on them, not because they weren't good enough, not because they didn't have the skills, but because they didn't want them in there because of their skin color.
And they weren't getting the opportunities. Let's take sports. We'll start with professional sports as an example. You look at the number of minorities playing professional football and professional basketball. We're talking about athletes playing. And then look at the number of people who are in executive positions and coaching positions. There's a huge disparity there, which shouldn't be. So things need to be put in place. There needs to be light shed upon it so that there's a change brought about for the benefit of the sport as a whole.
We always get better when we are more diversified. When you see any business or operative organization that is multifaceted when it comes to race, people, gender, and you're working together, you always become better. It's almost hard to believe, but my wife and I were following. Dr. J was talking about the ABA and how the history of the ABA, and I watched the 4 series. Now I got to tell you, I had to bleep several times because those boys, I had to work so I could see before
we live in the world, but not of the world.
Oh boy, they were letting it fly, and so that idea. But what we found out about the ABA was a lot of those guys became every one of them, white or black, they became a family. And when it was demised by the NBA, it was not a merger. It was a takeover. They promised these other players. Now think about it. The majority of them, about 80% of those ball players, never got a contract in the NBA. But the NBA the ABA promised them that we're going to give you a retirement at some age, whatever it was. Well, when the ABA dissolved, that contract that they promised them was no longer available because there's no organization. But what happened 50 years later, one of those guys was laying in the bed, told this guy to take a picture of him with the ABA ball. He was dying. And after 50 years, they finally came around, the NBA, and gave a pension, a retirement to those players. Most of them, a lot of them were already dead. And it was just one of those it was a sad story, but again, it took one of those situations where an Emmett Till or George Floyd situation, seeing this person dying. And this is 2022, guys.
Yeah.
We're not talking about, we're talking 50 years later.
Yeah. See, I'm loving what you're saying because, again, DEI only shines the light in the darkness.
Sure.
And reveals that the lack of ethics, honesty, and integrity in an organization or a system, as opposed to, like you say, that legal entity of the ABA didn't exist anymore, so there's no enforcement.
Exactly.
But the idea of somebody having enough compassion to say, we need to try to make this individual whole before he expires.
That's where we are as far as looking at DEI. And you can make up your own mind, ladies and gentlemen, on what is important to you. But when I see these things that we're facing, it's almost, at one point, the one report said that DEI has been nearly synonymous with anti-racism training. And that was one of the hits. I said, well, it's not necessarily that way. We understand we have racism issues, but the truth, what we want is fairness, the opportunity to walk in the same door and get some of the same tools, so that we're not competing, but we're completing the vision of America. And right now, the melting pot, the only thing was melting was the pot.
It's the pot.
And not the people, and not the
people.
Processes and policies. They never stepped up to that point.
Yeah, going back to your original comment, who has benefited mostly, historically, as you said, it has been white women, according to research done by the League of Women Voters. They're showing that Caucasian females have prospered and benefited more because of DEI. We can go back to the 1920s when women didn't have the right to vote, when they got the right to vote, and they only got it because they were able to demonstrate that they had economic influence and cultural and social influence in this nation. Well, we're the ones that are raising the children. Yeah, the husbands may be out earning the majority of the money, but we're the ones that are doing all the shopping.
Yeah, putting that money and,
back into the economy.
Yeah, y'all mentioned earlier about the pro football and pro basketball, and you see it over and over again that these coaches with all these black players, there's so few black coaches, and then I even saw a black coach got removed. Milwaukee Bucks got removed, and guess what? They pull up another white guy that had been coaching before, and they're never reaching out to get new people, new opportunities, and it's just like they recycle these guys that's already been coaching before, and and that's what DEI tries to stop and give and say, let's give other people opportunity.
Yeah.
So it's not a bad thing, but
and not to make light of what occurred and what went on. The coach that was at the University of Michigan was released from his job, probably rightfully so, because of what occurred. But now it's coming out that story is not as one-sided as it initially appeared to be. That the young lady involved is now come forward and has indicated that because supposedly he had gone to her house and threatened her and some other things, and that may not have been true.
I'm going to say this, ladies, gentlemen, especially gentlemen, people of color. You're going to have to walk a higher standard in these
Come on,
positions.
sir. You talk about it.
You need to know
Talk
that
about
your
it.
life is on the spotlight. Everything you do is going to be challenged. I don't care who you are, where you come from. Please make sure that you got a clean slate, and that you're going in these jobs and doing exactly what you're supposed to do. Nothing more, nothing less, nothing otherwise, so that you can stay where you need to stay and do what you're able to do, because they're always going to offer something that is trying to bring you down.
That's right. And as you said, once the door opens, the key factor is maintaining that accountability and the higher level of standard, and then performance.
No, we got to. Yeah. Because the skills are there. There's no doubt about it. But you can't have, as Bishop T.D. Jakes says, you can't be a Samson, a he-man with a she weakness. You have got to understand.
You got to understand. She weakness.
That's it. I'll never forget that sermon. Okay, we got about 10, 12 minutes or so. That drinking water situation was something that got my attention because I think I told you all one of the situations that came before me in the federal. It was an indictment setting, and I heard Troy this morning talking about that, and I was on one of those juries as well to hear information being brought to the federal level, and I was a juror. But the point was that you cannot indict or bring charges against someone. They can be indicted, but you can't bring the charges unless it meets these three criteria. And that's what we sit there and taking notes on when the questions were asked. Did they meet those criteria? Then you can say yes. Let's take this thing to court. And they've spent time studying the information, bringing it. Most of the time they did. But one of the last things that I was dealing with was Chemours pushing the increase of PFAS. In the public works plant, federal works plants here, and that was one of the things I was looking for. And I've never seen so many attorneys with each individual. Now you're not naming anybody. You're trying to find out who did what, who knew what, and I'm here to tell you they were lawyered down. I had everybody, every individual had one, not just for the whole plant. But the point here is when you are looking at the drinking water of people, which is going to affect every part of their being, drinking water.
Once again, thank you for the assignment, because this is something that we should bring to light and something we should be aware of and something we should talk about. Answering the question, yes, the drinking water supplied by PwC is in compliance with EPA regulations.
And we're going to give them a shout out to PW.
But being in compliance with federal EPA standards doesn't mean that our drinking water is absolutely 100% safe. The thing with these PFAs and Chemours and dioxin and these things that are being found in our water because of what's being dumped into our water supply, the Cape Fear River by DuPont, is that no one has done a historical long-term study of the effects that it has on anybody. We know that some people are being affected immediately with health issues, but what happens long term? See, nobody has studied that. They haven't gone back and looked at what has occurred 20 years ago or 30 years ago when they were dumping this waste into our water supply.
That's part of your foot on that cord. You need to be careful there.
Thank you.
But we are talking about, I'm looking at Detroit, another situation with pipes that were horrible, rusting carry on, people were drinking it. But just like we mentioned about your liver, the cleaning of the liver, cleaning the body, well, you keep putting enough toxin in there, it works. Your lungs don't work. We don't breathe deeply.
like we should. But there's things in the atmosphere that's already clouding the bottom part of our lungs and part of our liver. And like you're saying, you can live years with these conditions, but then all of a sudden, one day or 1 week, it's like you can't breathe, or your body's aching, you can't pass the toxins out of your body because of the continual negative PFAS in the waters that nobody has done a long-term study on, or what's in what we're breathing airborne that no one has done anything with, because we've had these plants around since I was a child. We've had plants putting things out through these chimneys, and we think it's safe and clean. And then the other thing is without and people say, well, I got my own well. But if you're not checking those and they're being regulated and doing regular testing by the owner, then you don't know what's in that well by now. Go ahead.
No, and there is testing going on, and we're still finding levels of PFAS and dioxin in our drinking water supply, but they are supposedly at levels below what the EPA requires. My thing is what we're learning now about the human body, DNA and biochemistry and that kind of thing, is what about the generations that follow us? Were things that we're not aware of now that may be going into our bodies that are affecting the DNA of the next generations.
Because we know that what we put into our bodies, and we have children, it's going to pass right through us into them. Sometime automatically giving them, it's not a head start, it's like them getting the disease at a faster pace, or the activity of it showing up at a faster pace sooner than it did with us. But one of the things I wanted to get to say as well before our time runs out is that there are free water inspection assessment that you can have done. You can actually call places and get these, it's called a Liquid Tech water management expert to actually look at your place, the plumbing systems, the potential dead spots and bacterial risk points. You can look at water distribution around you, how your hot water configuration works, all these different things, EPA consumer performance metrics. These things can be checked out in your by getting someone to come look at your water. If you think something is not right, because that drinking water is so important to us. And we're sitting here today drinking nice water out of the bottles. You know, it's not always, everybody can't afford that. Some folks, all they got is that tap. And we need them to be healthy again.
As I was researching this, I not only looked at the chemicals that are possibly going into our water supply, but we're also facing a logistical concern about our water supply. Is that communities want to take water out of our system and use it and possibly return it to us, but what in condition would they return it if they took it and use it? Now we're already in a dry spell, so we have a water crisis. So do we allow someone else to take millions of gallons of water from the Cape Fear River system and then possibly use it and then return it to us in what condition?
I don't know if you ever been. I remember years ago going to the water filtering plant and watch that process of how they take that slushy looking stuff, and when they finish, you look and say, that looks like this now? How did they get it like? But the process is amazing.
It's amazing.
However, what I've learned about the PFAS and some of those other chemicals, they are so small in the way that they can get through some of the filtering processes that we have to be, because sometimes what you can't see can do more damage to you than what you can see. And so by knowing that, we have to be able to say, even though it looks clean,
how do we know it's really clean?
Yeah.
And so the recommendation is definitely have a filter on your tap water.
Yeah.
And never drink water from a hose or shower. I remember when we was children drinking water from that hose in the yard. Your mama said, "Don't come in this house no more." But because the plastic from the hose has chemicals that get into the water.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the shower is a good place for these germs to hang out. So when you're taking a shower, you definitely want to let no water get in your mouth from there.
And if you have water in the bottles in your house or in your car and it gets hot and cool again, look, don't drink that water because that bottle is breaking down. There's chemicals in the bottle that's breaking down into the water. So when it gets hot like that, it's breaking that plastic bottle down.
And again, we always talk about legacy.
Yeah.
What are we leaving to the future generations?
Well, anyway, there all kind of noise going on today. We're doing repairs at the building, so it's getting back to where it used to be.
It's looking good.
It's looking good, sounding good.
Yeah.
And we certainly appreciate you hanging in with us, and we'll be back next Friday. But in the meantime, just remember the only thing that evil needs to triumph
is for good men to do nothing.
Bye-bye.